Hello once again, friends, and welcome to the Manny Diaz Show. Joe Ziaki alongside University of Miami head coach Manny Diaz and my broadcast partner, Don Bailey Jr. Hurricanes back in action coming up on Saturday, 3:30 kickoff at Hard Rock Stadium against an old ACC/Big East foe. The Hokies of Virginia Tech come calling on Saturday afternoon at Hard Rock Stadium. So it'll be good to get back in action, Coach. You had the bye week. How did you guys use it?
We had a good week of practice during the bye, working on ourselves, working on Virginia Tech some. And then we allowed our players to get away for a couple days and came back, had a very spirited practice on Sunday. And I think the guys are finally excited at the meat of our schedules here. We have been practicing for 10 weeks and have played 4 games in that span. It's just a little strange. And guys want to play games, coaches want to coach in games, and it's finally here.
Man, there's a lot to be said for the rhythm of playing a game week after week after week, and what you lose if you don't, because we saw what happens, and you see it all across the country, but the key is to keep it going.
Yeah, football is so much about routine. A Tuesday is a Tuesday, and a Wednesday is a Wednesday, and we become creatures of habit. That's part of what you want, right? If you think about the way the military operates, they want to build routine and structure into the soldiers' daily lives, and we've had a hard time coming up with a routine. It's been a little bit of start stop, but all that's beyond us now. It's here, and I think the guys have that excitement and urgency because of that.
And you mentioned the heart of the season is here. The heart of the ACC schedule is here as well. So this is really now the race really begins.
It does, and you're talking about 6 games in 6 weeks, 4 out of the 6 at Hard Rock Stadium, the next 3 at Hard Rock Stadium. So we know that when the story of the 2019 Hurricanes is written, what happens between now and November 11th will have a major say in that. But all that begins this Saturday with Virginia Tech.
And you mentioned 10 weeks and 4 ball games, but one good thing about those 10 weeks is you got some guys well and got some guys eligible. And give us an update on what's going on with Bolden and Silvera and those people.
We do. We have really our full roster, again, knock on wood, ready for this game. We're as healthy as we can be. That's a great credit to our strength staff, our training staff, and our players. Getting Bubba Bolden back is going to be to me a big boost to our secondary, our depth in our secondary when we get into dime packages and third down packages, and things like that. Getting Jade Silvera, getting him into our D tackle rotation, and his ability to make a play and push the pocket, be disruptive versus the run, the things that are his strengths, that certainly helps. Mark Pope has gotten back out to practice. I think everybody should be feeling as good as they can about their bodies right now after coming off of September, knowing that we're getting ready to get into this grind of games that we all expect to be very physical and very highly competitive.
I think one of the things about Silvera that I'm excited to see, you mentioned now that one game after another, he finally gets in there and he brings another level of intensity that could be very interesting to watch, and maybe intensity that would be hard to match for some, or maybe on defense, guys also match his intensity.
Well, and we know Jade's a very intense player, but also what we want to rise on the entire football team as we continue to develop our depth, right? And get more guys in the game. Everyone can play with more intensity. Why? Because they're playing fewer snaps. Right. And that's really what the best teams have, where you can really turn that knob up to 11, because you know that if you empty your tank, you can come out. There should not be a drop off. We get another guy in, and that could be, that should be a wide receiver, that should be a running back, that can be on offensive line. We know we've got great depth at tight end. Obviously, we've always rotated a lot of guys on our defensive front. It's crucial to our success. Getting more guys involved in the secondary will be valuable. So just getting more guys to cross that line, our special teams should have great benefit from that. And so it really helps us in all phases.
Coach, let's go back to Bubba Bolden. I think it's fair to bring to the table the fact that this guy hadn't played in over a year.
Right.
And it's going to take a minute to get used to game speed. He's been practicing, and we've been fortunate enough for that, but it's different going from practice to playing, especially after having over a year off.
Absolutely. And let's use Trayvon Hill as an example. Trayvon's a guy that's gotten better and better each week, which is what we thought he would. And none, the great thing is our expectation is that we don't expect any of these guys to put on a cape and fly around the stadium and leap tall buildings, and just do your job, play as hard as you can, run to the ball and tackle. And that's pretty much what it means to play defense for the Miami Hurricanes. And And if he can just handle that expectations, we know he's got enough ability to make plays if they're presented. Don't think you have to do anything extra. Just do your job, do it full speed, run the ball, and tackle.
You mentioned Trayvon Hill. I guess it's safe to say he's going to be pretty excited.
Trayvon will be excited. Now they may be excited to see him too, but certainly Trayvon will be excited, and you know, that's not easy. You know what he did, but he's done a great job of really blending in well with our team and our culture, and like I said, he has really, you know, upped his game and given us a little different dynamic off the edge every week.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, this week also, the off week also allows you to experiment or look at other people at other spots and let them gain experience, at least in practice. Did you find out anything special on the offensive line about what direction you're going to go with your starters?
Yeah, well, I think we have an idea of what we're going to do, and I think more importantly, we're still hoping that we have more than 5 guys that can go into a game. And again, so much of what we have found out is about competitiveness and strain. You know, your toughness. Everybody wants to be tough, but what, you know, your fatigue. You know, the old saying, fatigue makes cowards of us all. You know, so again, if we can take some, if we can elevate, you know, even the guys that aren't out there for the first snap of the game, if we can elevate those guys where they can take snaps off of some of our starters and start to roll more guys in, I think that's going to really help our play up front as well.
You know, you look at the numbers on defense, and every week they're climbing in terms of, well, climbing in the right direction. Tackles for losses, the sacks, obviously the run game numbers are really good. Are you starting to see that cohesion on defense and seeing maybe the will of your defense starting to impose itself on the opponent where you've had it in the past?
I hope so, and that's not something dissimilar to what we've had happen in the past 3 years defensively, where as the season goes on and the guys start to come together, and I know that happened to us in 17. Even last year as the year went on, where the guys start to really, you know, blend in together and trust each other. I think, you know, defense is so much about trust,
right,
and trusting the guys that you play with. And when you have to replace the Jaquan Johnsons and the Charlotte Red Wines and those type of, you know, big personalities and experience, you know, and everybody's getting comfortable with each other, and the back end making the checks. Same thing on the front end, you know, with some of the guys up front that we lost. And I think everybody is getting more comfortable in being where they're supposed to be. And again, when I know you're where you're supposed to be, I can play faster. And it doesn't matter how fast I run the 40. If I'm not sure where you're going to be, I have to be a little more hesitant because I'm worried about doing my job and a little bit of your job. So the more we, you know, get that trust factor and everybody feels more comfortable, the defense plays a lot faster.
Coach, Jonathan Ford on the stat sheet has not tallied a whole lot of numbers, but the total defense against the run is
Right.
showing what he's accomplishing. Share with us what his role is, because you're not seeing the numbers that you had out of Willis last year, but the run defense certainly says that he's working out.
Well, look, so we're in the attack Miami 4-3, which goes back to Miami back in the 80s, right? So we're a vertical penetration team with our defensive front. Those guys are about creating knockback, getting their feet across the line of scrimmage. And now, the great thing about our defense is also an equal opportunity defense, right? So when they hand the ball off, you know, it's not set up for one guy to make, you know, we're not holding on to blocks so only the middle linebacker makes a tackle, or only this guy makes a tackle. We've got a lot of good players that are all attacking the ball. And everyone has to do it in their leverage lane, but they're all attacking. What we always say is if we all do our job in the front seven, the running back decides who makes the tackle, right? You know, it's like if you build a wall with a bunch of bricks, right, and decide to run in the wall, the brick didn't decide who to make the tackle. The brick just decided to form the wall, the individual brick. You know, whoever the guy decides running the wall, that guy gets the tackle. Everybody else can come and get an assist. So you can't put up the numbers we're putting up in our run defense without having great play with your defensive tackles. Because again, the game is simple. You know, shutting down the A gaps and the B gaps is a whole key to any run defense. And our two defensive tackles will always man an A and a B gap and our Mike and Will linebacker behind them. So I think a lot of the success we've had comes from that position.
You know, staying with the defense for a moment, you talk about the comfort level, and I think the other thing you see now, or starting to see, guys make plays, right? So one guy makes a play, and then that becomes more. Everybody gains confidence. Gervin Hall gets a deflection. Mm-hmm. Oh, Gervin got one. Then Trayvon Hill gets a sack. Mm-hmm. So not only do they have to not worry about, okay, do your job and my job. It's if I don't make a play, someone else for sure is making a play.
And haven't we seen that since 2016? There's plays for everybody.
Right.
You know, and one of the great things about coaching at Miami is we've got a lot of great players that can all make plays. And, you know, we've talked about this in the past where sometimes we feel like our guys it's been a little bit unfair how we've been treated on all conference teams at the end of the year. But I think that's part of the reason why is because we have a lot of guys. We've always had great numbers, but we have a lot of guys that can do their job. And a lot of guys share the wealth. They share the plays, which is what we want, right? We want to be a team where on every side of the ball, where everybody's eating, and where some other schools, they only this one DB makes all the plays, and there's only one linebacker makes all the tackles. This one defensive lineman gets all the sacks. Here, we want to have everybody stuff the stat sheet.
Coach, Zach McLeod came out. It was talked about earlier last week, the possibility of a red shirt. I would say one of the smartest moves by a young man that I've seen, maybe in the last 15 or 20 years, about analyzing the situation, talking about maybe sticking around for a 5th year, graduating, working on a master's, getting more playing time, and really becoming more developed as a player and a student athlete.
Right. Zach is one of the finest young men I've ever had the opportunity to coach, and he came to us, and said, I think that might be the thing for me to do. And so we said, it's not unprecedented. We had a couple kids that did it a year ago. We said, okay, Zach, well, we'll grant you that if we will prepare you for every game like you're going to play, which he does. He's still one of the hardest working guys, on our practice field every day. If he has one more game left where he can still play and still take a red shirt, so there's kind of he's in our behind glass break glass in case of emergency compartment. If something catastrophic happened with an injury to one of our frontline guys, Zach knows that he would fill in for the rest of the year and would not redshirt, because that way his role would dictate that. But as long as we can stay healthy, and then again, when you talk about replacing a Pickney and Quarterman a year from now, to have a guy like McLeod will be a 5th-year senior and all the experience he had. And let's make one more point about Zach. Zach has not had a spring practice since he early enrolled,
right?
Because he's dealing with an elbow and a wrist, and there's always been something with Zach. So even his transition to inside linebacker, he did not get the amount of at-bats in the offseason that he'll get coming up this year.
And he can play that position,
of
no
course,
question.
Yeah, runner and hitter.
This week it's Virginia Tech comes into Hard Rock Stadium. They're coming off a tough game, but when they play Miami, it's always a battle royale.
It is, and we know enough about college football that you never know what team you're going to get week in, week out, right? We've seen that with us. Some things we didn't like about our inconsistent performances, but usually when a team has a game they had the week before, that's a program that's got a lot of pride, and they're going to fix that. They're not going to let that happen again. They've got outstanding coaches. They've got players that have some pride. They're in a program that's not tolerated, not accepted, no different than the way it would be here. So we're not going to see the team that showed up last Friday night. But the issue is, in the meetings, you're watching that team, and you have to make sure the players understand this is different than what you're going to get. And you would expect to get their best shot, because again, when Miami and Virginia Tech, it has that coastal rivalry going back to the Big East days, like you mentioned, and so we know what to expect from them. I'm more concerned of what to expect from us still. You know what I mean? We can control our energy, our attitude, our toughness, and our effort, and let's go, turn the knob up on those things and see what happens.
Coach, their defensive coordinator, Bud Foster, has been around forever and has been very, very, very successful. When you watch him or you're studying them, what would you say are some of the key ingredients that has led to his longevity at Virginia Tech and his success?
Yeah, Bud Foster is one of the best to ever do it in this game. I think, obviously, when you talk about the identity of his defense, you want a defense to have an identity. Like we talk about the Miami Hurricane defense has an identity. Theirs is all about the lunch pail mentality, right? So they're always going to be tough. They're always going to be physical. They're always put a lot of pressure on your offense. And whether that's blitzes, doesn't always have to be blitzes. They're always going to surround the line of scrimmage with a lot of players, make it very difficult for you to do what's easy, right, which is run the football and make easy throws, right? And so everything they force you to do is either to the outside, you have to deep down the field, but if you go deep down the field, can you protect it? So he's always made you try to win the game with low percentage plays, and then that with their effort and toughness has always made them a tough out.
All right, we'll continue with University of Miami head coach Manny Diaz. We'll do that on the Manny Diaz Show right after this.
Welcome back to the breakdown segment with head coach Manny Diaz. And coach, what do you got for us today?
We're going to talk a little run defense. We know the key to playing great defense starts with stopping the run, and that's something we've taken a lot of pride in over the last 3 years. I think we've been 23rd, and 17th the last 3 years, and we measure run defense by yards per play. This year we're 5th. We're off to a great start stopping the run, something, again, that we want to continue throughout the rest of the year. a lot of why that happens is not seen to the public. And I know you ask all the time, and you're always interested in what's going on in the trenches. So we decided to lift the hood up and give some credit to the guys doing the dirty work inside, and it's got off to a great start in our run defense.
All right, let's go at it.
So we're going to show a couple plays from all the games we've had so far. And everyone knows that in Miami we play a 4-3 defense, right? There's our 4 defensive linemen. We're going to always outnumber the run game. So if you look at the offense right here, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 potential blockers for their running back. So we're going to have, we talk about the 4 defensive linemen, there's our 2 linebackers, and our 3rd linebacker in this structure of our defense, actually right there, is our safety, Gervin Hall. So we will always have 7, which, as I know, is greater than 6. And because 7 is greater than 6, everyone can play in one gap. Everyone can be in one place. And as a result, we are all trying to create penetration across the line of scrimmage with our defensive line. So there's a great picture right here. So watch this line. The ball is perfectly on that line at the stadium, right? And I want to focus on Pat Bethel right here. Florida's going to run an outside zone play in this direction. And watch what Pat does to the center right here. And what I want to pause is right now, watch the feet. See how Pat's feet are across the line of scrimmage? That is creating the knockback that we want our defense to have. And that's when you think about the Miami 4-3 defensive tackle. That is a standard of how defensive tackle line is played.
And Coach, you talk about it all the time. You want your defensive linemen, you want everybody across the line of scrimmage.
Across the line of
That's
scrimmage.
winning the line of scrimmage.
That's exactly right, because now the running back is having to go where? Sideways. And this is why it's so important for us to win the tackle for loss battle every week, because again, when you get the offense to go sideways, that's how you create negative plays. And we still have a guy in all the gaps. Gervin now has this gap, Shaq has this gap. We've got Pickney in this gap on the backside. The tight end's coming back here for Patchen. So we've got a guy to cover all the gaps. So now, bang, they have the ability right here. Watch, Bethel does a great job, is able to shed the block and hit the running back right now 3 yards deep in the backfield. But by the way, watch Jonathan Garvin. Jonathan Garvin setting a great edge. And again, remember where the line of scrimmage was? The line of scrimmage was on that line. And now we've got their offensive linemen 2-3 yards deep in the line of scrimmage, and that's exactly how we want this. And by the way, watch John Ford finish effort here from the backside, bang, and gets the assist. Now, I don't know if they ever count these assists in the official stats. To us, in our building, that's an assist.
Coach, go back 1 second here, and also you were talking about run support here as well. Comes down, and he's focusing on getting across the line of scrimmage as well.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You know, right here, just go more forward right there and create knockback. You know, get a hat on the ball and potentially disrupt the football as well.
Okay.
So now we go, you know, and again, that's what gets everybody excited to play. So now watch, this is the next week. And again, same deal. There's our 4 defensive linemen with a tight end and a running back. That gives them 6 potential blockers. And right now, Rob Knowles is our 7th guy in this structure, okay? They're running a counter play right here. So what's going to happen is they're going to block back like this. They're going to pull the guard, and they're going to pull the tight end on the backside. The tight end will block Pickney. The guard's going to block Neo, okay? So watch what happens right here, okay? Let's start with our inside guys. Again, it's a neat play. We happen to have the ball right on the line, right? So are we getting our feet across the line of scrimmage? Yes. Patchen's across, Ford's across. Here's Chigoze and Aruka right here. Watch what he is doing to that guard, completely knocking him back, okay? Now let's go back to the outside. He's already doing their job. So Jonathan Garvin's getting a down block. His job is to come in here and close down space as much as possible. So now look at the running back. Is there a hole to run through right there? Not really. Pickney recognizes counter, so he's coming to fit in the second spot. So again, see how we've set this edge right here. Shaq Quarterman recognizes the guard pull, so he knows this guy's coming to block him and to seal him in. Shaq's not going to let that happen. He's going to jump over the top of that block just like he does right there. So now if the running back runs through that hole, Shaq is right there to make the play. Rob Knowles, you see he points out right there. Once he sees that tight end come across, he makes a yell distinction to these guys, let them know what's happening, and he's what we call our run-through player, running right through that gap to make that play. So, but to show you how many guys are doing their job, but it all comes back to the guy that's got the hardest job, that's our nose guard. Knocks the guy back, bang, he makes a tackle, Knowles gets the assist, and again, that's exactly the way we want to make this look. Now, what's fun? Effort. We talk about Shaq Corbin, right? He did his job. The running back didn't come to him. Well, you know what you do? You go find the running back, and you go get an assist, and that's a great job by Shaq.
Coach, you talk effort, and I know that's what you live and die on. Watch the effort through the tackle. He's on his knees, grinding his knees through the tackle.
Look, we always say if the guy with the ball squirming, then he's not dead yet. You know what I mean? So stay after him, keep hitting him. There's Rob Knoll still running his feet on contact. Great job. And again, just that visual, right, is what we want. All of us, the running back going backwards towards his own goal line, all of us, on top and tackling in a group effort. That's good, solid defense. Okay, this is again a couple weeks later, and again a bunch of guys doing their job. Okay, so what do we see again? Structure: one tight end as a blocker with 5 offensive linemen, so that's 6 blockers. Right now, Romeo Finley, our striker, he's our 7th run defender. Okay, so again, there's a Miami 4-3 defense, right? 4 defensive linemen. Okay, so what they're going to run right now is they're going to run a lead play. They're trying to run a lead play with this guy right here. He's going to block Shaq. Okay, so again, bang, here it is. The ball happens to be snapped right on the line. Watch our 4 defensive linemen. Are we getting our feet across the line of scrimmage? Yes, we are. Look how far John Ford is. What does that do? Watch the running back when he receives the football. When the running back receives the football, he is already making a cut 3.5, 4 yards deep in his backfield. Right. Now, why is that as well? Because you have fast linebackers. So when Mike Pickney sees the tight end come back like this, he knows now he is a run-through A-gap defender. Well, most teams, if the linebackers play slow, they will double team John Ford. That center is going to block Mike Pickney when Mike Pickney shows up. If Mike Pickney's slow, they'll run John Ford. They'll double team and run him out of there. Mm-hmm. Well, Mike Pickney's not going to be slow. The one thing he does is he shows up. Boom. And by him running through that gap, you say, well, gosh, he didn't even make the play. He did make the play because he takes the double team off John Ford. John Ford going vertical makes the running back make a cut. And now they've got 2 in the hole, means we got 2 in the hole. Shaq, his job is to spill the ball, which when we say spill, it means knock the ball out to Romeo Finley. He's the defender that they can't block. Bang. Great right shoulder tackle right there. Shoulder pad through the thighs, wrap up. Okay, keeps the head out of the tackle. This is exactly how we tackle at the University of Miami. But this is just a beautiful thing. Look at just 7 guys fitting up their gaps, doing their job. And when that happens, there's nowhere to run the football.
Coach, when you talk a 4-3, a lot of time people think that it has to be 4 guys with their hand in the dirt. You have Patchen up, but he counts as one of the defensive linemen, defensive end, obviously.
That's exactly
But
right.
he does a great job of holding his point as well.
Right, and the reason why you'll see a lot of people, including us, stand at their defensive ends is because in the era of the zone read game, let's say the tackle blocks down and it's zone read, and the quarterback might pull the ball, they can't just play defensive line like used to in the 90s and 80s where we just fly up the field in every play. He's got to slow down, he's got option responsibilities. And so by standing up, if, right now he's getting blocked out on, now he's just good old-fashioned, get upfield and set an edge. But if he gets a down block, he's got to take his eyes in a different spot, and he has to become a reader. And that's the complexity of what it means to play defensive end in this day and age.
Okay.
All right, so now, the last 2 plays, now what you've seen is the principle of verticality, right, and what getting feet across the line does and the problems that causes for the offensive line. The last 2 plays, what we're going to show is how when you mix in a little bit of movement, okay, that can really create issues for the guys, for the big uglies up front, okay? Now, there's no tight end, right? So now there's how many potential blockers? Well, there's 5. So we have how many defenders designed to stop the run? We have 6, okay? So there's a guy in motion, the secondary's handling the motion. The linebackers don't have to worry about that. Linebackers, they are locked in on their run key, okay? But what we have right here, and again, this is why everything starts with the D tackles in the 4-3. John Ford is running a little stun in here like this, and Pat Bethel is looping right behind him, okay? And now watch the quickness that John Ford. So what is this guy expecting? What did we see last play? Rah, boom, here I come, bang, bang. Well, you better brace for impact on a big guy like John Ford. Nope. Now he's got the quickness to shoot into this gap right here. What does that, again, make the running back do? Make a cut in the backfield.
That's right.
Right? He is taking the football, and he's already right now, what would you say if you're that guy? Oh, boy.
It's over.
No bueno, right? And then Pat Bethel, who's got the quickness to wrap really tight right there behind John Ford. Bang, bang, bang. So again, who gets him first? Pat does. Nice right shoulder tackle. Shaq's right there. Bang. John Ford gets it. But you can see the gap structure. Everybody's right where they're supposed to be. Looking pretty good. Shaq would continue on that way if the back went that way. This is what I talk about with Patchen. See how Patchen now has to do a good job. We want the quarterback to hand the ball off. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he's got to have quiet feet. Quarterback is looking at him. If Scott ran down there, the quarterback would pull the ball out here. We don't want that. We want to win where we have the numbers. We have more numbers in here. Want the ball to go in there, and that's a great job. Where a little bit of easy movement okay, can also create devastation in the backfield.
Coach, make no mistake about it. This is practice. This stunt is practiced constantly. The
Oh, yeah.
timing of it and everything.
The whole deal,
Right.
and it's all coordinated. The linebackers, they know, because now, Pickney, who had been an A gap player, he knows now he's a B gap defender. So all this is what is all tied in together. And again, Todd Stroud does a great job with our defensive line, and Blake Baker, obviously, with a great little call right here. And then here's one more. So that was just a stunt. You would hear a stunt. That was just between two linemen. Okay, this is going to be a blitz. Okay, and so again, 1, 2, 3, 4 defensive linemen. Here are 3 linebackers right here, right? And then they've got some wideouts and whatnot. So we've got some DBs covering wideouts. There's a DB covering a wideout. There's a guy out here you can't see. But the primary run blockers, there's a tight end. There's Romeo Finley's got the tight end, and here's our 2 linebackers on top of the back. Except we're doing something a little different right now. Mike Pickney is blitzing, okay? And we're slanting our defensive line in that direction, okay? Boom. So again, a guy like John Ford, you see him be big and physical, but to have that athleticism, you saw Pat Bethel be big and physical, but to step in, watch what happens. They're trying to double team Pat Bethel, right? Shoom, okay? Well, guess what? They both just swung and missed. Right. All right. They're trying to block back on John Ford. They swung and missed. So what are we trying to create? What you're trying to do here, you want these guys to learn how to play slow. Right? No one on the field wants to play slow. But now even when we're not moving, they have to be tentative because, well, gosh, last time we doubled, the guy did that. So now even when we're just playing it straight and going up the field, you're not getting the same intensity and force from those guys. So let's go back to the blitz. Pickens does a good job of coming in here. John Ford does a good job coming there. And again, we have a running back that is doing what? He is making a cut as soon as he gets the football. Uh-oh, guess who's unblocked? Dun, 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 dun. Boom. There's Shaq Corbin, one of the biggest hits in the game a week ago. Bang. But the same thing, right shoulder tackle. Look at that body. He's got the knee right there between the legs, near toe up, right between the ball carrier's feet. Bang, draws the guy back, and look at the impact right there. And that's how you can play tough in this day and age and play safe. You take the head out of the game, but make no mistake, there's still some popping and pads going on out there, but this is a big-time hit by a big-time player, number 55.
And it was all set up for it to be executed this way, and you had 5 anticipating a hit as well.
Amari's got that guy man-to-man, so once that guy blocks, now Amari has the gap that he creates right there. Shaq just does a great job of tracking the back. He sees the back once, a cutback, woof. And that's a great job right there. And that guy right there is, that's where the toughness of the defense. So when you're talking about run defense, to kind of put it all together, these are the 4 guys that it all starts with. Because if teams can't run the ball there, they got to do what? They got to run the ball sideways. And what happens when we run the ball sideways? That's how you get the tackle for loss. Create the negative plays. And that's really how the whole defense gets rolling.
All right. Thank you for joining us on the breakdown segment with Coach Manny Diaz.